I'm okay.
Wow.
Recording. Wow. This
Did you-
message is recording.
Yes,
Wonderful.
it's all on record now. Don't
So
say anything
yeah,
bad.
I firstly want to just say a big hello
Yes.
to
Hello
you.
again. Yes,
Um, y- you are in Serbia right now,
I'm in
and I
Serbia.
have I have so many questions. I hope that's okay.
No, you ask me any question you want. I'm just here.
Well, I'll just do a little introduction. So, I wanted to have an interview with Rakhi. She's a breatharian. She's now in Serbia. She's also collaborating on a book with us called Sante with quite a few other collaborators. And I find her story really fascinating and interesting. And every time I talk about her to other people, they ask me so many questions as well. So I thought now is a good moment to get Araki on the phone on Zoom and have a bit of a chat with her about her lifestyle and her transition and a bit about herself. And so you can all meet her and see how wonderful she is. So I would love for you to just give a little introduction about yourself, if that's okay.
Yeah, you want me to start like about my journey, my brother's
Just
journey, or
where just
generally?
where you are at the moment. What brings you to Serbia would be a start.
Okay, I'm in Serbia. I'm only here. I mean, I'm here because I have never been to Serbia, and I've been to all the surrounding countries, but I had never been to Serbia. So I thought, Serbia's open, and I haven't been there, so why not go? And so, yeah, I'm here in Serbia.
Great. So
I'm
you
in Belgrade actually, and I'm gonna. I just kind of got here not too long ago, so I'm gonna explore the rest of Serbia.
so you're having a holiday, having a break.
Yes, holiday break, time to myself, all that kind of stuff. Then I have a friend joining me later on, so we'll travel together.
Nice. So most of the time you're based in New Mexico. Is that right? Or Mexico City?
No, I'm just kind of everywhere. So most of the time I'm actually I grew up in San Francisco, so California is kind of like home. My mom lives in California, so I go visit her and kind of be with her. But I don't really have a place actually. I'm homeless and kind of jobless and those kinds of things.
So you are a breatharian. That makes me think like maybe you're just like the wind. You just kind of move around like the breath,
I
you know?
do, yeah. It's like wherever I feel, I just kind of go, and it's one of those things. I don't want to be, but maybe but right now, I don't think my thing is to be in one place. But eventually, probably I'll be in one place. But right now, I don't really feel the need to be in one place, so that's why I move around.
Okay. So can you tell me a bit more about what breatharianism is? Because I know some people might know what it is. Some people have no idea. Some people might be really interested. And when I try to explain it, they're like, I need more information. So
Yeah.
if you just want to explain a little bit what being a breatharian is, that would be wonderful.
Well, breatharian is basically someone who gets the nourishment and energy from something other than physical food. So from the prana, the energy that's all around us. So your body's able to nourish itself from the energy that's around you. So that's basically what a breatharian is. Um, Now there are different phases of breatharianism. I'm kind of on my journey to becoming like, my whole thing is to be able to be like breatharian, meaning I can basically just survive on water. So I'm not there at that level yet. So it's a journey, it's a process. I'm almost into my 3-year process. It's been like almost over 2.5 years. And I've been on liquids, and before I was on kind of heavier liquids and lighter liquids. And so I'm kind of transitioning into wanting to become a breatharian. I'm already wanting to be a breatharian, but I'm like transitioning into like, because they have different levels. And I think the highest level is where you kind of just sustain yourself without anything.
It's so fascinating. I mean, I spoke to someone and they're like, oh, so she just has air? She just breathes the air? I was like, well, I think it's a little bit more complex than that.
But
um,
it is kind of that way that you're just, and I've done blood tests and things, and everything comes normal because and I never worry about what I'm taking in. I don't worry about nutrition. I don't worry about any of that stuff because it's all provided for me from the environment around me, meaning the air around me. So it has everything that my body needs. So I don't really need to worry about. And then I take it just to make sure. I take my blood test, make sure everything's okay, and everything's okay. So yeah, I don't worry about which food groups. I don't worry about like nutrition per se because it's already provided.
I guess from a nutritionist perspective, because I have a lot of friends who are nutritionists, or they're like super sports people, or they're naturopaths or whatever. They're like, this has to be like this. You need this much with this meal. You need this much with this meal. This much. There's so much.
It's so
Uh,
complicated.
so much information. There's so much kind of put everything in a box. It's like, well, actually, if you you kind of take you for example. It's like you're really pushing the boundary of science. You're pushing the boundaries of what people might normally understand as what they need in a diet. It's like actually maybe we don't need all these complex kind of processes and things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically we're training the body to be able to sustain itself with it, because we're all getting nourished. Some people are getting nourished by, the physical food that they eat, and others are getting nourished by the environment around them, the prana around them. So we're all being nourished in one way or the other. So nourishment is there. So it's not that, oh, you don't eat, so you're not getting nourished, but no, nourishment is definitely there. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it takes a certain type of person to be able to be on that particular path, or do you think everyone's capable of being a breatharian?
I think everyone is capable of being that way, but I think food is the biggest addiction that we have. And I think that is something that is, I mean, we grew up thinking we need to eat this. I mean, we grew up just eating. So, I mean, that is part of who we are. It's in our DNA to eat, right? And then to say, well, you know what? You need to now not eat. It's just like, what are you talking about? So, but I think if anyone has a will, it's a slow process. It's not like overnight, okay, I'm going to stop eating and I'm going to be a breatharian. I mean, it doesn't happen that way, because then you might kind of starve yourself or something. So it's not about struggling and starving yourself, but it's about changing your vibrational frequency where you're matching the frequency of the pranic frequency. And so then you are able to be nourished. It's not about like depriving yourself of anything.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably key as well, is bringing yourself to a certain frequency which allows you to be more adaptable and be more absorbing and giving in your environment. Because I think some people, bodies are very toxic. Some people's bodies are very hard and have a lot of really strong conditioning since their past, and so many things that are stuck inside the body. So I think a transition would really help. I think detoxing really helps too. I know you detox and you fast quite a lot. Do you do that quite often?
Yeah. That's part of my thing. Detoxing, I used to do a lot, but I think now the body naturally kind of just doesn't really have too much coming in, so it's detoxing anyways. But yeah, before my journey, I used to be heavy into detox and heavy into just cleansing my body, because I mean, we're constantly putting in food, and food has so many toxins in it, right? So you need to, and then our environment, the water we drink and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, detoxing is really important, because you want to have the vessel clean to be able to draw in the prana, right? If it's all kind of bogged down and has all that kind of stuff, it's not going to be easy for it to draw the prana in. So you do need to have the vessel being clean. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's an important word there, like purification. I
Yeah.
know that word comes to me often, and I think for me the whole path of detoxing and transitioning on diet is to kind of purifying the system, purifying your body, but also like strong meditation practices, purifying the mind. Um, and yeah, that's really important to me because yeah, I mean, there's toxins kind of everywhere. There's toxins in the air we breathe. There's toxins in the water. So I think yeah, I understand what you mean. Like doing a detox is good to get it all out, but after a while, you're like, okay, maybe there's no toxins. I'm just gonna fast. I don't need to feed and consuming.
Right. I mean, when you're fasting, you're definitely detoxing. I mean, that is definitely, yeah. And so I feel that now I don't consciously say, okay, I'm going to detox, because I think my body is naturally kind of doing it, because it's getting a break from constantly ingesting the food. Because when your body is, because it takes a lot of energy to digest food. And if your body is taking that energy to digest the food, then it doesn't have the reserve energy to do all the detoxing part. But since I'm not actually really taking food in, then it has more time and energy to detox other parts of my body. So
Yeah. So you mentioned you kind of you transition to more like liquid foods and smoothies and juices and that sort of things. I know you mentioned. Now you only consume what basically.
yeah,
What's
so
your
now what I have is
what's your
nut
normal
milk.
day? What's your normal day of of
So
things you
yeah,
might consume?
but when I'm by myself, I find myself, because I'm right now I'm by myself. So when I'm by myself, I find myself really kind of getting light. So what I'll have is I'll have nut milk. I'll have just like herbal tea, because I'm off caffeine or anything. I don't know. So herbal tea, maybe like a ginger lemon kind of a tea or something, and then I'll have nut milk. And that's basically what I'll do. I mean, then I may have an occasional juice or something. But juice is something I'm not too fond of, but I'll do that. Yeah.
So are you like constantly, drinking your teas and things throughout the day, or do you have kind of like a protocol? There's days you said you fast as well, so maybe like dry fasting. Do you do dry fasting?
I do dry fasting. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna start up a whole thing. I think with Fabi that we're gonna. But I'm gonna do it kind of on the side or maybe together. I don't know. But he's doing the French one. I'm gonna do the English speaking one on Mondays. We're gonna do a dry fasting. So kind of get into it, but with others, I think it's great to have others come along and kind of introduce them to dry fasting because that's something that they probably maybe haven't tried and maybe curious about it. And if we do it as a group, I think it's kind of a nice encouragement for everyone to say, maybe I can do it once.
Well, I'd done fasting, but never dry fasting. So a few Mondays ago when we first did it together, that was my first time. And it was, do you know what? I think my body normally, like, I don't necessarily drink a lot of water. People say you should drink so much water, you should drink this many liters of water a day. Maybe you have an opinion on that as well, but my body naturally doesn't necessarily demand water. Maybe because I'm also eating a lot of fruits. I'm eating fresh vegetables directly from the garden. So when I did a dry fast, I wasn't actually thirsty. It was more a mental thing, like, oh, I really would like to eat that. It was more like things I wanted to eat, not actually necessarily. I wasn't thirsty. I didn't need to drink. So it's unusual, like, but it was really powerful to me because we did it as a group.
Yeah, I think it's just nice to do it as a group. Yeah. But you're right about not getting thirsty because I think you need the water when you're eating to actually kind of get the food kind of processing and digesting all that. You need the water for that. But if you actually only, like for you, I mean, you're having like fruits and stuff, that's mainly water. So you don't really need, I mean, your body, if it needs it, it'll tell you, but it doesn't seem like you need extra more than what the nature is providing you with.
Yeah, I know with people, the nutritionists and they say you need, so many liters and liters of water a day. Maybe when you're doing like hours and hours of hot exercise and you're like perspirating and you're sweating all this out, you need to put it back in, I guess.
Right. Or if you're having one of those standard diets, then of course you'll need that much water, right? But if you're not, if you're going like raw vegan or vegan, I mean, even vegan, but if you're going raw vegan, then that's like you're really getting the water, pure water from the fruits and vegetables. So then obviously, you're not going to need as much water because you're getting it from what you eat. So
yeah, if you're someone who has a lot of processed food, a lot of cooked food, a lot of cooked vegetables, no fruit, a lot of caffeine. Well, there's actually no water in your diet.
Right. So you need the water.
Yeah. And I just wonder like how important is like your environment where you are? Because I mean, maybe it'd be easier if you lived in is it easier if you lived in the countryside, or is it easier if you lived in an environment with supportive to that? Less stress?
I think environment is an important thing because for a pranic lifestyle, because I think you need to be vibrating at that frequency. You can't be kind of being with people that pull you down, because then you're going to want to eat and you're going to want to do things that are not healthy for you. So I think you need to be in a very kind of a positive environment, and I think you'll naturally be drawn to that anyways, because if you're vibrating a certain frequency, you're only going to be attracted to something that's a kind of similar frequency. You're going to probably be repelled from something that is of kind of more negative or something, so
yeah. I kind of had the impression that maybe a lifestyle like that would mean you would be someone who kind of distances yourself socially and you kind of isolate yourself a little bit. I just wonder like what your thoughts about that were, like how easy would it be to be in a relationship with somebody, or are you kind of a person that really likes to be mostly in solitude, those sorts of things?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, it actually is it's a transition period, because I've been at it for almost 3 years now. And so it is a transition period. When I first transitioned into my breatharian lifestyle, I just found myself very isolated, because I used to have friends and everything. And all of a sudden, boom, one fine day is like everything's gone. I'm the weird one and all this. There's a transition into this lifestyle, and it could be quite a lonely lifestyle because you don't resonate with people and people don't resonate with you, and they don't understand what the hell you're doing, and they think you're killing yourself, and what is this, you're not eating, you're gonna land up in the hospital and something's going to happen to you and your organs are going to eat themselves, and she's just gone nuts, and so you're dealing with all that at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but once you kind of get settled in it, then you find your kind of footing and your frequency, then you kind of find people that are similar to you. So I think it's a transition period. Yeah. But
No,
in terms of being with other people, I think I think what I resonate with is being with people that are kind of similar to me. So I couldn't possibly be with people that I was with before my journey. So
yeah, I mean, we're with people that then they want to drink alcohol, they want to eat this certain types of foods, they want to go out, they want to be around this sort of environment. That's kind of hard. I mean, it's like society and the people that you might have interacted with before are suddenly distancing themselves from you. It's
absolutely.
like their doubts, their social doubts, their cultural beliefs on you. But it's like, no, actually, your own self-realization, your own truth, your own, however you feel this is transitioning into is what you should really listen to.
Yeah.
But that can be hard, even with family and people that are really close to you as well.
Absolutely. It's actually very difficult having gone through that transition. It's lonely, and it's almost, you lose your identity. You actually have to let that side of you go. And so there's a rebirth that kind of happens, and then you find your footing again. So it is a kind of a lonely process, because, even when you travel and go out and like, oh, we're going to eat. We're going to go out to eat. I mean, what is it, the thing that friends do? Oh, let's go and grab lunch, right? Or let's go. Yeah. So it's always about food. Everything is about food. Even when you travel, when I go, it's like just restaurants. It's everything is just food and shopping. And when you get into this lifestyle, you don't want to shop. You don't want food. And you feel like, what else is there? There's nothing else. So it is kind of a shift that happens, yeah, it can be difficult in the beginning, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people cannot stick to it and they go back to eating, because they want to go back to normal. Normal. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's always there. You leave here, you walk past the supermarket, you get on the train, there's an advertisement for some food. You get to the airport, well, there's food everywhere. You get on the plane, would you like something to eat? You get off the plane, you get another airport, it just
Yeah.
says like food. It's like it's constantly this little just reminder, this constant it's an extremely successful business model.
Yeah,
So
that's right. The
yeah,
addiction is so strong that wherever you go, it's like, we have this drug for you. Take this drug. Take this drug.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely effective. It's just like you just eventually you just have to tune out.
Yeah, you do. I mean, like, you just tune out. Like if I go to a grocery store, I basically tune out of everything. And then I'll go for my nut milk or something that I see.
Yeah, it's like putting on your blindfold and
Yeah,
just like,
that's it. It's like, yes, I'm very focused when I go. It's like, okay, done, finished. Let's go now.
yeah, of course, you need a certain element of like willpower.
It gets to the point where in the beginning it's definitely willpower, because you're just like, oh my God, I just want pizza or something. Oh my God, I just want, it's like definitely willpower. But after a while, like if you've been on this path and if you're able to kind of get so far along, then it's no longer willpower. Then it's more like, no, I don't want it, because your body kind of doesn't want it. It just kind of contracts when you think of pizza or
Yeah,
something. It's like, no.
yeah. I think it's like the mind is there too. It's like, oh, my mind really wants a pizza, but actually, maybe through your transition, your experience, your body is actually speaking too. Like when you think about the stomach, I think there's more neurons in the stomach than there is in the brain. It's like actually your stomach is thinking about food first, not the brain. And
Yeah.
I guess maybe after transitioning for such a long time, your stomach, your whole body's like, no, I've already experienced this, and I know this wasn't right. So there's that connection between the both, which is like clearly saying this is not what I want to be doing.
Right. And it doesn't come overnight. It doesn't even come in a year. I mean, it can take over 2 years. I mean, it is a process. It's not like overnight, like, okay, I'm going to be a breatharian now. Let's just stop eating food. It just, I mean, it is a very, it's a process, and it's just changing your vibrational frequency to the level where what do you resonate with? Then you don't resonate with those foods because you're not at that frequency. So it's changing it. It's not so much willpower as it is the resonance that you have with the food.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you know a lot of other breatharians? Like, is there an interesting kind of network, or what would you call
Um,
breatharian groups? Or do you know, like, do you know a lot of people that are also on this path too? And do you communicate often, or?
no, I don't actually know many people that are on this path, actually. It's
Oh,
quite
no,
lonely.
I just find it fascinating. You know, I think I was just wondering if there's other people around you, or you know them, or maybe
I
is
mean,
this
there are people online, obviously.
kind of
There are people online, obviously, that are on this path and stuff, um but I personally, I know people that have started the journey, and so then there's different levels, like are people have started the journey, maybe they've been doing it for a few months or whatever, but then what do you classify as a breatharian? You know what I'm saying? It kind of gets into the gray area, like, but I know a lot of people that are in kind of the health kind of healthy eating and stuff, so that's something I can resonate with, because yeah, we can go and I can get a juice or something. We can go to a restaurant, I'll get a juice, and as long as that's okay, then that's fine with me. Yeah.
It's interesting, just like, yeah, the idea of just putting a label on something as well. Like, are you a
Yeah.
fruitarian? Are you a vegan? Are
Yeah.
you like maybe you're just really happy just being very simple and just allowing nature do its own thing and to feed itself and to just let
Yeah.
the stuff go, right?
Right. I remember going to restaurants with my son, and we'd go to a restaurant because we were in Mexico just recently before this, and we'd go to restaurants, and he'll order his meal or whatever, and I'll sit there and I'll say, okay, I'll have this juice, and she's like, okay, and what else would you have? Like, they just kind of puzzled by, like, you're just gonna have juice, like, you don't want anything else? Like, I'm like, no, I'm fine. I don't want anything else. So it actually, yeah, it's kind of puzzling for people, and I think a lot of people don't understand it. So, I mean,
So you
it's
have
kind of natural for people not to understand it. So,
yeah, of course.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand why you're vegan. They question why I'm vegan. Like, surely you must be ill, or you must be missing something. It's like, I never felt better in my life. Like, I
right,
never, all my allergies disappeared, all my anxiety, depression, mood swings, problems with skin, insomnia, they all just disappear. It's like, clearly something wasn't right. Clearly, I didn't need all these, like milk products from a cow that's not really part of my digestive system. Those things were just really affecting me. I was like, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, okay. But firstly, I listened to my body. Like, I really listened to what was physically going on.
yeah.
There has to be a link. And clearly, by eliminating something and transitioning, the answers were right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know my son, he's a vegan, and he used to have skin problems and allergies, and all that just disappeared once he became a vegan. So it's
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, how your diet just changes who you are and how your body functions. So it's amazing. Yeah.
How old is your son?
He's 20, going to be 21 soon. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know
Cool.
as a kid he used to have like skin problems and stuff like that, but and allergies were major, but it all went away, and it's all because of the food we take in. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go into another subject. I heard you, this little thing that came up in a conversation we're having with Fabi. You mentioned parallel worlds. I was like, oh, I want to talk about that. My brain was like, ding, 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 ding. I need to have a conversation. Can you elaborate, where this is going?
So parallel realities.
Oh,
Yeah,
parallel.
it's kind of similar to manifesting, but it's parallel reality. So basically, what it is that there are many realities on this earth, and they're parallel, they're happening at the same time. Okay, so we are in many parallel realities. So I am here, and I'm also somewhere else, and I'm also somewhere else. So there are many realities going on at the same time. I am just currently right now here, me vibrating at this frequency that allows me to be in this parallel reality. Now, if I do not like my reality, I can shift into a reality that I prefer, and that reality already exists. I don't need to manifest it. It already exists. So I just need to shift over. Now, how do I shift over? I need to actually change my vibrational frequency so I match the frequency of that reality, and then I can be there. You see, that is how this whole parallel reality thing works in theory. So
That's fascinating. I love this idea. Is this something you'd been considering for a while, or someone else had mentioned to you, or something that's
No,
just
I'm
coming?
actually practicing this parallel reality thing. So I feel like if we're not happy with our reality and we want, and there's not that we're not happy, say I'm happy with it, but actually I would also like this other thing, right? So then what you do is you get your heart and your mind and you visualize and you be there. Like you actually have all that, not like as a third person that, oh, I would like to be there. That means that's a lack. That means you don't already have it,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't already have it, then you're not going to get there. You only get there when you actually are there, saying, I have all of this. In your mind, you're visualizing in the first person that you have all of this. So now you're vibrating at that frequency. And now it's easy to shift.
It's beautiful. It's like all these channels already exist, and it's almost like you're just moving over into the
That's
other
it.
curves of the river. You know, it's like,
Yeah. It's so much easier than thinking about manifestation. Manifestation is almost like it's out there and has to come here. It just seems like so much work. Parallel
yeah.
reality is easy because it's already exist. The
Mhm.
version of you that you want to be, because you've thought about it, already exists. You just need to kind of shift your vibration to that point, and now you're there.
Yeah. It's a little bit paradoxical because it's a little bit difficult to explain, but I really understand what you mean, and I really feel what you mean. I really experienced what you mean as well. Um,
You've experienced what I mean, you're saying?
yeah, and I have that really strong belief, and I hold that energy in my heart too. When I feel like anything is possible if it's just a shift in your consciousness, or it's a shift in your energy, or how you view the world. Because for me, I also feel like everything is already there. You know, we just need to um, shift the way we view it and shift the way we vibrate, so we can just kind of like slot in. You know.
Yes,
And
that's all
sometimes
it
it's
is.
so automatic. It's like like, and for me, it's difficult to explain. It's just an experience. It's such a joy. It's something that's just kind of opening to from you.
Yeah. And in order to get into the parallel reality, you have to open your heart and your mind, and you have to just actually visualize everything around you that is actually you are there. And now you're
Mhm.
vibrating that frequency and you will shift your reality to that. And those
Yeah,
things will, and then it's like you will manifest that, meaning you will shift into that reality.
yeah,
So and the thing is, we're constantly, the theory behind that is we're constantly shifting into parallel realities. The thing is that we, like if I move my hand from here to here to here, these are different parallel realities that we're shifting into. Now, the thing is that we shift into similar parallel realities. So we don't think we're shifting into parallel because it's all very similar. Now, if you want to shift and actually make a big shift, then it comes with your heart and mind together and feeling that you are already there into that
mm.
big shift. And then
Do you
you,
feel like the dreaming and the dream space is also another parallel reality, or it's something else?
your
Because
dream.
there's so much wisdom, and there's so much depth there that feels so real. But
Yeah.
it also is another kind of slipping into something more subtle, like another reality.
Maybe because you're actually, maybe your frequencies change. So you're in a different reality. You're constantly in different parallel realities, you know? We live in
Yeah,
multiple realities. So you can be shifting from there to there and you're shifting. Is that
yeah.
weird? I think that the whole concept is really weird. but,
That's
but
so weird, but so fascinating. And like I mean, yeah, I mean, this. I also think about it in terms of the brain and what's happening in the brain, like from a neurological kind of perspective too, and even like with psychedelics, because psychedelics can make you also see a whole wider depth of realities and information that we're normally not seeing. You know, our visual cortex is only processing so much information, but with psychedelics, we
because you're
almost
vibrating at a higher frequency. So you're able to see all the other things that
exactly.
people can't see. Yeah.
And I think that's what like a lot of plant medicines do, like ayahuasca and all these other molecules, and psychedelics do as well, which is why they can be so overwhelming, because you suddenly have access to all this information that's is so new, but actually is just all there.
It's all
And
there. Yeah.
I think that's what's fascinating with your story. And I was thinking about it and conceptualizing about it. It's like, so all these plants and these molecules and psychedelics do that, but maybe someone who is on this very interesting transition, this it's almost like this process that psychedelics do is actually happening to someone like you naturally. But like you think about, we can't access a lot of these psychedelics that we have in our body because of the enzymes in the stomach that break it all down. Um, they talk about the calcification in the brain, so we can't access things like DMT, which we have in our body all the time, which is in all these plants and all these animals. It's like, but maybe someone that's really on a very deep purification of the body, maybe you are accessing this sort of information much more naturally. That's what I find really interesting.
Well, that's really interesting because I do feel that I am. Because when I go deep into the meditation, I've done this 5-MeO DMT thing. Have you heard of that?
You have? Okay, cool. That's my other question is actually have you had these experiences with psychedelics too?
Yeah, I've
And
done ayahuasca and I've done 5-MeO DMT.
okay.
So I know kind of what state to get into. And sometimes when I go into meditation, I do get into that kind of the state where you're vibrating a certain frequency and you kind of it's like even generally I kind of feel all this energy coming into my body, and I so yeah, it's different from how I used to be. So I feel that I am accessing something there. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, working with all these plants and these medicines, there's this whole purification process beforehand. So these medicines can actually work and they start to talk to you and they communicate because this kind of like this highway information is linked. It's like when our bodies are so toxic, we can't actually hear and feel and absorb and have this exchange of information. But when you purify, you actually can. So I was thinking like, even when you're detoxing and you're fasting, it's like you feel a change coming. It's almost like you become more of a transmitter and a receiver of information. It's like suddenly you start to almost like feel yourself merging with all of that. I think
Yeah.
that's what's really beautiful too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I agree with you. You're more connected. And
yeah,
like I don't know if I told you about that experience that I had where my third eye opening and some energy coming into my body and changing me and shifting me.
yeah.
That's a weird thing, but so basically, my friend she did this thing with me and she found me energetically where I was. So she was in Texas, I was in California, and I did a whole video on this, but I'll just tell you what it is. It was really bizarre experience for me. So she was in Texas, I was in California, and I've always wanted to have my third eye open. I was like, oh, that'd be so neat to have my third eye open. Yeah, and this is just recently, right? And I was like, that would be so neat. And then we were talking. She's like, oh, would you like me to see if I can open your third eye? I'm like, are you joking? I mean, can you do that? I mean, you're there and I'm here. How can you do that? She's like, well, I will find you energetically. And so she goes in and I mean, she's just amazing. She goes in and finds me energetically wherever I was. And she goes, okay, so yeah. And she tells me, yeah, your third eye is slightly open. It's like a sliver is open, but not fully. So let me see what I can do. So she did something and put some energy, whatever. And then she goes, oh my God, you're third. And I'm sitting there and she's doing that. And I'm feeling this pressure in my head and all that. And she goes, okay, oh my God, your third eye just popped open. She said,
You just had a baby. Ah.
and I'm feeling pressure in my head as well. I'm like, and I'm in disbelief. I'm like, seriously, really? Like, can it? And so anyway, so she says, yeah, it's your third eye's open, and it's not like it's in the movies or wherever, like all of a sudden now you're able to see all these weird things or whatever. You're going to see what you were ready to see. And I was like, okay, it's interesting. Of course, there was still a doubt in me, like, now how do I really know that my third eye's open? I'm like, are you sure my third eye is? She goes, yeah, your third eye's open. And so I went to bed that night, and I was thinking, okay, my third eye's open, and okay. And I go to bed, and I had the most bizarre experience. I was sleeping, and then I had this energy on top of my head. They came in, kind of said knock knock, and I was like, and I kind of woke up. I was like, and it wanted to enter my body. And I was like, no, but if you were like a kind of one of those evil spirits, whatever, because I'm not you. And okay, so first of all, background, I have not exposed to all this. I don't know about these like spirits and all that stuff. This is all like something I've never experienced. So this is a really unusual experience for me. And so then this energy, whatever it was, it kind of came into my body. Okay. And now you know how they say in meditation, you are consciousness, you are not your body, right? So here I am. I was consciousness, I was not my body, because this thing that entered my body took full control over my body.
Mm.
The vehicle was not, that was my body's a vehicle. I had no control of my body. So what it did, I don't know what it did, but it made some shifts in my body. Then it was like a bunch of flashcards kind of flashed in my eyes with the eagles and animals and all that. And then it kind of turned something in my stomach, and it just kind of purged. There's some purging that went on like energetically. And I was just like, oh my God. And I didn't know what to do with it. And it just kind of purged it out. I mean, nothing came out, but probably this energy came out, right? And then it did something in my stomach, my belly button, and just kind of adjusted it. And I was like, and I am just the observer observing what's happening to my body, because I had no control over my body. And then it left my body. And I was like totally freaked out. I'm like, what the hell just happened? So,
Wow, that's quite an experience. Was this happening while you were asleep in a
no,
dream?
no,
No.
no. I was fully awake, and actually that energy actually woke me up. I'm fully awake, and
Yeah.
then I get out, and it left my body, and I was like, oh my God. And I was terrified. I had to go to the bathroom. I'm terrified to go to the bathroom. What if that thing is out there? You know, of course it's energy, right? It's everywhere. But I'm just scared. I was like, oh my God. So it was a very unusual experience for me too.
But to me, this sounds like the DMT experience. This sounds like working with ayahuasca. This sounds like this deep kind of emerging with kind of one energy, one consciousness. This kind of osmosis of what's going on. Like people say, beings enter us and they kind of fix us and move things around. And there also is something happening with the stomach. I had a very similar experience with the belly button
Okay.
too.
Okay. Tell me about it. Yeah.
Oh no, it's like the belly button just suddenly adjusted and changed, and I had this unusual kind of, this is working with ayahuasca, and this kind of like down in the abdomen, which was suddenly like, instinctively told me that this was had to do with like abandonment,
Okay.
and also like my mother's abandonment when she was adopted, and when she was abandoned as a child. It's like suddenly all this signaling was just going to this one spot, and it shifted into the belly button, and it was this kind of like explosion just sort of came out. But I was very much conscious and very much like, I'm awake now. I have to process this. But the wisdom that happens with these plants and with these medicines is fascinating. How it just gives you sudden insight, physically, mentally, in a space energetically too.
Yes.
Oh, fascinating. And
Fascinating.
yeah, but so this experience of yours, you weren't under any influence. It was just very naturally happening from your friend who maybe helped you shift this energy
Yeah,
around. This was
yeah.
her.
And I think that shift, and I said, well, I don't remember exactly what she said. I was like, so why did this happen? They're like, well, they just made maybe it needed, you had some stuff in and you needed to purge to kind of get you to a different level and kind of make some adjustments now that your third eye's open, and for allow you to kind of, maybe expand your consciousness. And I was like, well, yeah, that's always very welcome, but that was kind of a scary experience, though, to have this energy come inside of me and then leave me. And until this day, I'm like, oh my God, that's weird. So yeah. And yeah.
Was this very similar to your 5-MeO DMT experience, or
No,
did
5-MeO
anyone else?
DMT, nothing actually came inside my body.
Hmm.
5-MeO DMT was more of just me kind of releasing whatever that was inside of me, and all that kind of stuff, and allowing the energy to come in, but not this kind of a being type energy that's kind of shifting and doing.
Right.
Or you know what, no, in a lot of ways you're right, because when I did the 5-MeO, it was some energy that came in and kind of pushed stuff out. So but this energy felt a bit different, so I don't really know what the difference is actually, but yeah, it was kind of
Well,
similar, I guess I
it
would.
was maybe just another parallel reality, or maybe other beings from other realities
Maybe they
living
all
there.
feel a little different, right?
Sometimes this path seems really nice, and this path doesn't seem so, resonant with you. It's like, okay, I think there's so many energies around, as we all know, we've all experienced. But yeah, no, the 5-MeO experience is I haven't actually done 5-MeO DMT, but I'm very fascinated by it. I've been researching it for a while and reading, and um, I'm interested in the neurological psychedelic kind of aspect, what's happening in the
Yeah.
brain, what's going on there. But there's a lot of
Right.
really interesting studies into it. But I kind of think that we are psychedelic in a sense. I think we are you know, such very rich beings capable of so much. And I feel like that these experiences are so much in us. And I know Fabi would probably say the same thing too. It's like,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
need any of that. It's like, all this is here. This is
I
all
know.
beautiful and perfect. And I feel like sometimes that is true. It's like there's just such beautiful wisdom and truth here in this moment, in this present moment, which becomes more and more psychedelic the more you let it become psychedelic.
Right,
So,
right. We are such
and
powerful beings, and we kind of don't know that. But I mean, if we can shift to a different reality and shift to a parallel reality, and we can manifest things and be whoever we want to be and all that, I mean, that's pretty powerful, isn't it? But
yeah,
yeah,
and
we're
I think a lot of these, you know, substances and molecules take us to that experience much quicker. And I think some people that are maybe not as capable to go there in a slow transitional way, then sure. If you want to take ayahuasca and have 20 years of psychotherapy in one night, then that's amazing, really.
yeah,
And that's how powerful they are. And I know 5-MeO is even more powerful than that. A 20-minute experience can
yeah.
really change your
That's what I
life.
liked about the 5-MeO. Sorry, is that it was quick in and out. It wasn't this long drawn out process. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think there's so much insight and incredible information there that it's really infiltrating into a lot of people's lives now. And I know ayahuasca is too, and even just meditation. I think meditation is a really powerful natural tool that you need to have a strong mind to meditate, even though it's not about think. It's like not thinking, but
yeah.
you almost your mind and your control of it to not be in control. That sounds really weird, but
Yeah, I just think it needs some discipline though. People just think, I
yeah,
think people maybe overcomplicate it. This meditation is so difficult, and then they kind of push themselves away from doing it because they find it so difficult. But,
yeah.
I mean, I think I say just do it for 5 minutes a day and just sit. And if your mind wanders, let it wander. But you'll kind of get better at it. So
Of course, I totally agree. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That's
this has
whole
been
the whole part of the process is your mind is wandering because I think with your mind is to understand that it is wandering and bring it back. So that's the whole process.
and just to be okay with that, just to never be to stop doubting, to
Yeah.
stop having guilt and doubt is a huge thing. I'm doing it wrong. I'm not doing it right. No, the moment you suddenly decide that you're in doubt or this is not the way it's supposed to be, or maybe I should be doing it this way, suddenly you're in constant battle. It's just like
Yeah.
accepting, and that is accepting others too. Like that really helps too.
Yeah, true, true. And I think also food plays a big part in our mental well-being. And in the sense, I remember I used to eat onion and garlic, and that really messes up with your mind and how it just kind of scrambles things up, right? But if you don't have those things, it's just almost you can get more into the meditative state very quickly. So I think that's for me, but for others, maybe they're eating more junk and I mean your diet and then your mind is kind of really frazzled, right? So if you're having
Yeah.
caffeine a lot or stuff, then it'll be harder to kind of really focus, say, on your breath or something like that, and it may make it difficult. So I think it can be difficult if you're just starting out and you're having all kinds of food that you're eating that it is not conducive to meditation. So but then that doesn't mean you don't do meditation, so it's a little bit more difficult and your mind wanders, but that's the key. Find that your mind is wandering and bring it back to your breath. Find that it's wandering, bring it back to it's like a whole process, and then you get better and better at it.
Yeah, like just accepting things as they are. I think that's what Vipassana does too, is it's accepting things as they are. But I think in terms of diet, like the first time I did a really intense Vipassana, I mean, I was already on a transition. I was already vegan, and I was really not having caffeine or sugar, and like I really felt like my body was already quite purified. And personally, I think it really helped me to go a bit deeper and to understand a bit more about what was going on and all those questions that I had in terms of like the pain body relationship with the mind, um, trauma, those things, even going down through things like generational trauma with my parents and all this sort of stuff too. I was like, I felt like my diet and the things that I was eating really helped because I could just I had more willpower, I had more stamina, and kind of I think the purification process was already beginning to allow that information and give me that strength to actually sit and really focus like I'd never focused before. And
Yeah.
I think food was really key for me. I wasn't craving things during that time. The food that they provide is all vegan, plant-based anyway. There's not a lot of spices. So that whole environment is really conducive to really shifting you and helping you shift.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed I did Vipassana a few times and it was really transformational because you just like 10 days, you're not like interacting with you're just with yourself. And so there's a lot of things that goes on when you're just with yourself.
Yeah, I love being by myself. My husband's been away for like 2 months, and I have this house to myself. I'm just meditating and
Oh,
reading and recording music and gardening every day. It's like it's super nice, but I don't really play any music. It's really quiet. It's calm. I love it. I love it, and I think that's really helpful too. That environment, that protective, sacred space that you make for yourself
absolutely.
really helps.
Absolutely.
You know, you
Yeah.
can just bring yourself back, no matter how crazy your day is, no matter how many signs for pizza and burgers you see, you can just bring yourself back. Wow, okay.
Right, right, right. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Nice, nicely said. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for talking. This has been super nice.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah. So
As soon as you mentioned something about parallel realities and just I wanted to know more about breatharianism, and so many people I talk to and so ask so many questions like she must just float away to nothing, and like no, she's like, oh, she must not be very healthy, but like if you saw her, you could see how beautiful and vibrant and energetic and how wonderful she is. She has this huge smile, and you know what? She's on her diet and on her path, and she's so. I
yeah.
think it's really amazing your story. So I can't wait to share this video with people because so many people are asking me. So thanks so much for spending this little moment with
Oh, thank you so
me.
much, Ben. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And much love to you.
You as well. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. Take care.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.